Good morning. I'll call the April 22nd, 2025 Transportation Authority of Calhoun County meeting to order. And, Madam Secretary, if we can do roll call.
Sure. Dr. Watson.
Here.
Amy Evans.
Here.
Tom Carpenter.
Here.
Michael Williams.
Here.
And Davis here and Eric here.
Present. Okay. Can I get approval of agenda review and motion for approval?
I'd like to add one thing to the agenda, is approval of the closed session minutes of March 25th, 2025.
Yeah, new business.
Under approval of minutes, we'll just add another, the regular minutes and then the closed session minutes.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then I'll make a motion
It's been moved.
to approve the,
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
we're gonna keep moving a little forward until our last member gets here, if that's okay, if you can wait a couple minutes.
Okay. Do you guys have a couple minutes? Jim's, you said, yeah, right.
So that was approval of the agenda. We added that to the.
Yes.
To the minutes.
Mm.
And now with the approval of the March 25th minutes, which would also include the approval of.
We got to do them separate.
Closed session.
Yes, so I move that we approve the minutes of the March 25th, 2025 meeting.
It's been moved and supported. Moved by Carkowitz and supported by Evans.
Yes.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Great.
And what you're getting is Amy's giving you the closed session minutes, which we will approve and then hand back to Amy after we approve them.
Perfect.
You're welcome.
Take a moment to review those and entertain a motion to go ahead and approve those.
So moved, Watson.
Support. It's been moved and moved by Dr. Watson and supported by Mr. Charkowitz. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Perfect. All right.
Janesha, don't sit down yet. You're going to get up here in a minute. So,
So that'll move us into public comments. And we'll do we're picking these things up. Thank you. You did say that, didn't you? Yeah, and I ignored that. Sorry, Tom.
Patty, do you want to
Patty?
add something to us, or do you want to just take our picture?
Well, typically.
Whatever you want to do.
We gather, I sort of, everybody, maybe they all come up.
Sure.
Yeah.
You want to
This area, or come down, however.
Yeah,
And then we just introduce ourselves and then,
Okay.
I turn it over to you or to,
Sure.
to tell a little bit about TACC.
Okay.
And explain, whatever, and then we'll cut the ribbon, take the photo.
Okay.
So, sound good?
Yep. We'll all gather up front.
So, yeah. Feel very official.
Yeah, no, it's like now they're in session. What's up, Tom?
That's okay.
It's understand. Well, you can take my spouse.
Same order.
I'm Patty Williams, the Business Development Manager with Choose Marshall. So we're here today to welcome TACC as part of the chamber, and we're here to support you in any way that we can. And we're here to welcome you. We'll go around the room and introduce ourselves, and then I'll turn it over to Eric or Tom, or whoever wants to speak.
I'm Amy Pearson, I'm the Director of Marketing for Choose Marshall.
So Jim Duran, CEO, Choose Marshall.
Val Vaughn from High Point Community Bank, Chamber Ambassador.
Gonna be included? Okay. I'll leave you out if you want to say. Dora Preskin, Spartan Podiatry, Chamber Member.
My name's Matt Taylor, name of business is Sale Workshop, computers and tech support, I'm Chamber Ambassador.
Vivian Davis, representative from Albion City Council, TACC Secretary.
I'm Commissioner of
Maya Williams, I am here representing Battle Creek, part of TACC.
I am Amy Evans and I represent the city of Springfield.
Eric Stewart, TACC Board Chair.
Paul Watson, I represent.
I'm Eric, representing City Marshall and Vice Chair.
Welcome, all of you. I guess Eric, if you want to
Well,
speak
well,
up or.
Your
Stand up, you can do it.
No, we appreciate your attendance today, and, we see our relationship with the chamber, chambers in the region, but your chamber specifically, because you're here, as very important to the process of transforming mobility in this region. Take that very seriously as a board. It's interesting how the universe brings together like-minded people just on sheer happenstance, and all of you come together for one mission, one like-minded purpose, and we look forward to the chamber and its businesses being a part of that. We look forward to the outreach as we kind of build the mobility ship. It does take time, but at the end of the day, we have great strategy. We have great momentum, and we look forward to this summer exploring great things and communicating that to the public. And you will be the tip of the spear in terms of our chamber relationships, of us having that dialogue with not just local residents, but businesses as well. So I really do look forward to that. I'm excited about what's to come. When you have a lot of moving parts, and it's like building a business from the ground up, or you don't put the wheels on the bus first, you put the engine together, right? And then you build the things around it, then you put the bells and whistles on it, what have you. And we have some very smart folks that are already responsible for mobility in the region that are some very good supports. So, like I said, we got incredible momentum, lots of good attitudes from the community. They want this thing sooner than later, but I think that we'll start seeing different behavior and mobility this summer and into the fall. And so I do a very good job of communicating that for us there. And like I said, you all do our best, so thank you.
Of course, you see that he's more articulate than I am, those that know me. I think the biggest thing is, even though Marshall and Battle Creek have transit, the TACC will enhance the service that is there. And that's important for those two cities, and for Springfield and Albion, who do not have service. This will be a huge improvement to giving them service, door-to-door service, and across the county.
Yeah. And we look at this being a two-way relationship. So you all are always welcome to come in and share information. No questions out of bounds. I love the tough questions, because that means you're passionate about what's important. And we'll do our best to respond to the time and that. That's the strategy. Did I miss anything? Any more members? Look, I don't need to all that. So let's take it. I'm sorry.
Does anybody have any questions?
I have a quick question, can I understand correctly that door-to-door service countywide is the objective without trying to track more points or nature? Is that
That's the future. Currently, it's not possible because the 4 cities are the ones that approved the TACC millage. So there'll be connectivity between the 4 cities.
Okay.
But we would definitely want to expand to where this could be area-wide, county-wide. So that's an ultimate goal.
But if you're a resident of one city that's participating, you can like, if you're in Marshall, you can go to Battle Creek or Springfield.
The goal is if you lived in, so get transportation. It's being phased in a little time, planning, still looking at June, for Albion to start up a door-to-door service.
And the city owns the Blue Oval site, right? So is there potential that workers could get to not only Denso, but future?
Yeah, from the Blue Oval site in the future, they'll be able to initially get served by Marshall, or the TACC, and then in the future, would be able to get from Springfield to Albion or Battle Creek. It's in the city limits.
You're the board, but do you have a staff or?
No
do you
staff.
Yeah.
We have
And you
technical-
Never have a staff.
We have technical support.
People actually.
Yeah.
We're hoping by October first to have,
Okay, so they're, this group are the people that
technical
we would
support.
be in contact. Okay.
But no, you would contact us and we would kind of mediate that piece. Okay, they got enough to do already. So, like I said, building the bus as you go. We gotta put the right structures in place in terms of, legal, finance, marketing, all of those things. And then we can talk about how we stagger staff and what have you. You know, this municipal business is very complicated, but, we wanna make sure that we do this right. A lot of people are commenting on that because this is a lot, it just goes beyond mobility. It's moving human beings from place to place without barriers and what have you. Those folks that, didn't opt in or what have you, it's not a political thing. I'm looking to reach back out to those folks and them to go back into the municipalities and say, how do we participate? Part of the strategy to, affect, economies of scale in terms of mill rates and so on and so forth is participation in businesses. What does that mean to the businesses that are in between and what have you? And how do we work that strategy out? Those are all things that this board is looking to have a conversation about versus making assumptions about. And putting human beings and mobility first versus what has happened in the past or any of those things. So we take those things into account, but at the end of the day, it's about serving the community as part of the future. We've already talked to Ford and some other folks, so we're at the beginning of saying, hey, what does that look like in your community? That's the key. Just want to get support. Good.
The website is redcalhoun.org and you can contact the board through the website.
Yes, yeah, that's the best way. You know, it was funny as a how folks catch us on the street, and, you know, they're like, hey, what about this? And we always push them to the website because in that frequently asked questions, we usually get back to you within a couple of days. And we actually thought about the answer and give the answer just like we would in this form. So it's kind of a cool, neat little tool that operates 24 hours a day.
So I should stop giving people Tom's personal.
Yeah, I encourage that. Good deal.
All right, line up here. We'll do. Pause, go back, but, let's see.
Yeah, I probably gonna have to.
We have to go this way, because the window. Because of the windows. Yeah, we'll go this way.
Yes,
Three of you.
Oh. Which one are you?
We got to bounce out.
Yeah, no, it's keep angle. I think so, probably.
We can't really fit. They have a question. Maya, I'm sorry. You know, maybe I'm gonna stand
A little bit this way, yep. And then. This works, oh, good, okay, so, first one is a smile on 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, now you can get ready to cut on 3, 1, 2, 3. Yep, sometimes it takes. You know,
It is.
Everybody's happy.
When you're first.
Yes, you can wear it as a sash.
Where you already, so stay here.
Maya, the pictures of my childhood is always me in the back.
Okay. Always been tall, huh? Okay.
Here, trust me.
Okay. Yes, thank you for moving that back up.
Went smoothly the other way, but.
Okay.
Well, any other public comment? Okay, hearing none. Well, thank you very much for arranging that time and what have you, and the Choose Marshall folks. That was very nice.
We're gonna do it in all of the communities of the chamber. and
Yeah,
everything.
I would assume that, well, no, I can't make any assumptions. I don't know. How's that?
Would you suggest,
I don't know what your chambers do. I know Marshall does this, so that's why.
they do ribbon cutting, maybe in June when we have our first vehicle?
For the record, I'm willing to do a ribbon cutting in any community, which we're a chamber of, and as a new member, I think they would want to take advantage of
The
that.
pilot, so it would be very appropriate.
Yes, yes. I'll leave it at that. All right. Thank you very much. Hearing no other public comment on agenda items, we'll move into the consent agenda. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move into the finance and budget report.
Right. So, I had shared last time that we were at 94% of what we were expecting to receive from the 4 cities. And I've learned from the county that the county will make us whole, make TACC whole in mid to late spring for the mills on the winter property taxes not paid by homeowners in the 4 participating cities. And all or some of those payments may need to be returned to the county if the foreclosed upon property is not sold at auction or the taxable value is decreased. So they will make us whole, but there might be some of it that would have to be returned in those situations, it sounds like. And from what I've learned so far, tax delinquent real taxes from Springfield's tax roll is approximately 22,800. We have since then received a payment of $1,640.79 for delinquent personal property taxes from Springfield. I learned from Albion that the delinquent property taxes there is around $37,500. Springfield also shared interest that they earned in property taxes that were sitting in their account. So we got $378.98 from them from interest earned, so that was nice. Whether that will happen from the other communities is yet to be determined. And since what was thought to be the last payment from Battle Creek, we have received another $38,170.49 for an additional final tax payment is what they're calling it. And then we earned $14,095.50 in March of interest. And I guess that's the biggest things. We have about just over 4.5 million balance.
Okay. Questions, comments for the acting treasurer?
Just one question. I was just reading the minutes and the 34%, I mean, 90-something percent.
90% received.
94 received. That was excluding the delinquent taxes. So that's why it was 94 rather than 100%. Okay.
Yep.
I see now.
Yep, that's right. Any other questions?
Any other questions for? I'll entertain the motion to accept the finance report.
So, Vivian.
Been moved by Ms. Davis and supported by, was that Ms. Williams or?
Morris.
Ms. Morris, okay, thank you, Commissioner. Any other discussion? Okay, it's good to see we're on track and what have you, and at such a high percentage rate, so as expected. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Perfect. We'll move right into public hearings and subsequent board action. Is there any? Great, we're moving right along. Unfinished business, marketing and communications contract.
I'll take that.
Okay.
All right. So you have an executive summary in your packet, and I'll just read a little bit of it. So the review committee is requesting the TACC Board of Directors to approve a marketing and communication services contract with King Media. The contract investment is $175,000 for a one-year comprehensive full-service marketing and communications campaign. The RFP was posted on the Ride Calhoun website and emailed to 4 vendors, all of which responded. They were King Media, LKF Marketing, Bluefish Consulting, and Crystal Cranes Media. King Media scored the highest with 279 consensus points. Crystal Cranes Media scored the second highest with 274 consensus points. The committee decided to ask both vendors 8 questions to help choose which vendor would be the best fit for tax marketing and communication needs, especially as it transitions from a board to an organization. These questions were sent April 9th. With responses due by 9 a.m. April 14th. They were forwarded to the committee on the 14th. The committee re-met on the 14th to review the responses. And the committee agreed that both firms were qualified and would do a good job. However, the committee believed King Media's extensive experience with public transit, depth of research and analysis, strategic planning, community engagement, website management, advertising and marketing campaigns, and their ability to anticipate tax marketing and communication needs make them the best choice. So the recommendation is to award the marketing and communication services contract to King Media as recommended by the review committee.
Motion.
Okay, it's been moved. Any support?
Support.
It's been moved by Mr. Targowitz and supported by Ms. Williams. Discussion point, huh?
Yes, in there, I can't pull up their schedule right now, but knowing that we're trying to get the curb to curb service in Albion in June, and we're last week of April, are they going to be able to do anything to help getting word out, getting publicity about the Albion service, which is starting?
My understanding is yes, that they said that once they receive the notice to proceed, that they would be able to start right away for us, and requests would be turned around, I believe, excuse me, it was 24 to 48 hours.
Just to clarify, they would get started on that. That was one of the key points of the committee that we needed. We know that communication needs to be fluid. We very promptly want to continue to communicate our progress to the general public in a substantive way, which they would be a part of that. And they are very much aware that one of the first orders of business as they get their feet underneath them is to help us create that communication that is public facing. And for each municipality, chamber, what have you, just as an update, and we would continuously do that. Similar to how we rolled out the communication plan prior to the millage process. This will be an ongoing exploration of strategy, changes, where we're going, what to expect going forward, and what have you. And they're prepared to participate in that.
Good question. Where is King Media based out of?
I believe so.
That sounds right.
Lansing?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Or East Lansing.
location wasn't a factor, so I didn't concentrate on.
Out of all that data, that's the singer. I'm like, I started panicking. Yeah, East Lansing. Yeah.
That sounds right, yes.
So
I remember that now.
perfect. All right. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I'll go ahead and call. All those in favor of the approval of the marketing services RFP?
Can I ask a question, first of all? Do we need to do a voice vote since this is an expenditure? Or, I mean, what's the feeling of the board? I mean, we're starting to get into more of this and every board works different. So I guess whatever the group would like to do.
That's a great observation. We will go around to each member. And since it was suggested, and I don't have a reason to not have that happen, since you brought it up as a matter of record, we can go ahead and do that. Does that suffice?
Oh, that's great. I think.
Okay.
Matt wants to do that or.
Okay.
Yes.
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 Perfect. Having a unanimous vote for that RFP process. Thank you very much to all of those committee members that analyze that and what have you. I also want to thank those folks that responded to the RFP and were a part of the process, those companies. Very, very tough decisions and very good small businesses all over our region were considered. So I just want to send that message out that didn't go unnoticed. So thank you very much to those that participated again. All right, moving on. Is there any new business? Well, before I move on, is there any unfinished business? I know we did the additions to the agenda, but we've had a lot of substantive conversation. So
Somewhere along the line, I'd like to ask technical staff if they are technical consultants, how we're coming with vehicles potentially for the Albion service somewhere. I'm not sure where it fits.
yeah,
so.
I think it could fit into public comment or new business. I'll leave that up to
And we were
not
going to
technical
talk about
consultants,
that.
but technical support people. So call it consultants would imply that there's some type of contractual arrangement or something like that, which there is not.
Right.
Okay. We'll go from there. Any new business? Okay. And public comments on non-agenda items. This will be a great opportunity for our technical folks to come and kind of give us an update on the Albion thing if they're prepared to do so.
Eric's quiet.
You didn't even know. Everybody was looking at you.
That was really weird. I'll tell you what, I'll have Christy explain what happened to you later. So in the future, when we ask for technical support, we have to actually call out names and make eye contact, okay?
Hear my name, sorry.
Okay. So, Mallory Avis, thank you for stepping up. I was going to defer to Christy because I wasn't sure what was happening. Yeah, I do as well. Mr. Tarkowitz, brought up the Albion piece in terms of mobility changes and what have you. If we can get an update on, are we on schedule with those pieces? Are we, do you see any barriers happening or anything like that and what have you? And if we can reconfirm that, I don't want to hammer down a date. I want to hammer down timing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we didn't meet April 8th, which was my birthday. So thank you. At the meeting prior to that, we gave a goal date of June to do some dedicated Albion service. So service that's specifically zoned to the city of Albion and launching that under our BC Go pilot program, which provides for capital and operating assistance to run that service. In that, in this time frame that's passed, we have met with our technology vendor. So Christy has already met with them. They are working on building out that zone and they don't anticipate it taking longer than 30 days. She met with them last week. So from the technology standpoint, we're confident that we're on track for that June date. We have already planned it out within our BC Go platform for a launch date of June 2nd. We, at the commission meeting last week, we had an item on the agenda to purchase 4 vehicles using that BC Go funding. So those 4 vehicles, we anticipate that 3 of the 4 are immediately available. So in our discussions with the vendor, which we ordered off of the state contract, which saved us time and not having to competitively bid it ourselves. The state has already competitively bid multiple contracts, and so we just ordered off of that. The vehicles are going to be 2 minivans and 2 full-size vans. So a full-size van is like a Ford Transit van, so not like a large cutaway bus or a small paratransit bus. It's still a van. All of the vehicles are still accessible, so lift or ramp, and meet all of our ADA requirements. We had the opportunity to present in Albion, and we did share some of that information with Ms. Davis and her constituents that we anticipate launching that service June 2nd. So, right now we're working on ramping up staff. We've hired some additional staff at Battle Creek Transit. Thank you for sending some applicants our way from Albion. And we anticipate that they'll be trained up to speed and ready to hit the ground running in June. At this time, we're looking at 1 dedicated vehicle. Remind me of the service hours, 7:30?
8 to 4.
8 to 4. So it would be a shift time of 7:30 to 5, right? 7:30 to 5 is what the individual would work, but the service would be available to the city of Albion from 8 to 4. It would run on the BC Go platform, so users would be able to download the BC Go Calhoun County app and schedule their rides that way. And then, as always, they could call our office and schedule a ride directly with dispatch if they didn't feel comfortable using the technology at this time. Those fares are payable, just like our current BC Go program. Those fares are payable either cash on board or credit card in advance. And that's made at the time of booking that payment. So we feel like we're on track to hit that June 2nd date, and that's what we're continuing to work for.
Ms. Davis, do we need to get a bottle of champagne and hit the front of the BC Go thing? And we need to do that.
For it, not hit it.
Dr. Watson, you had a question?
Yeah, so as we're gonna ready to operationalize some components, Is the plan to well, let me back up a second. It's always tough to introduce new technology to individuals and then make a change 6 months later. So one of my questions is, I know we've got the BC Go app. Is that something where the BC Go is the name, but we can always edit that if that gets subsumed into the TAC in the future, where if I'm a user that starts using this in June 2nd, that whenever things flip, I don't have to all of a sudden have to download a new app, learn a different technology and a different component piece.
Unfortunately, no. And no matter what, we need a new technology provider. So right now, operationally, Marshall Dial-A-Ride doesn't have any technology on their vehicles,
Yeah.
or for ride scheduling. At Battle Creek Transit, we have a separate system for our paratransit service from BC Go.
Yep.
And one provider, we can't merge all of the systems with one of the existing providers. So we already have funding and a draft RFP ready to go to replace all of the systems. Typically included in those proposals is marketing and communications to educate the public and the materials that we would need to advertise that transition.
Yeah, because that's going to be a key part of then when we market to Albion, we really want to make sure we say temporary
Right.
app, right? So that way it's really clear. That way we don't do something and then, it sends the perception, because you all know once you're in leadership, and we all are in leadership here, that you're always fighting perception. And the perception has to be that we are doing things in a duck in a row, and we're not making like, hey, let's use this app now, then use a different app now, right? If this is what we've got to do in the short term to get the service, I'm fully in favor of that. But I think we just got to be really key on our communication that this is a temporary stopgap for the technology for the future, right?
Right.
So.
And even I adapted the flyer that Mallory sent that said BC Go. I adapted it to TAC and Albion services, because BC Go would immediately, dismiss, so the perception of,
Correct.
Battle Creek, we don't live in Battle Creek. So I did some tweaking. And it works because, we are talking about Albion. The services are for Albion. So I wanted it to relate to people in Albion, and it did, and some people were not able to come in the grocery store, I'm sorry, I couldn't come. I really wanted to hear that, that presentation. And I said, well, they're going to come back because we have to do maybe a session with training or something like that.
That is Christy does a great job at, is that
Okay.
community engagement and education piece,
Okay.
whether it's travel training, so teaching somebody how to use the system, or just providing materials, educational materials on how to use the app, how to load funds into your wallet, things like that.
Right.
And then separately, some of the conversations we had at that community event in Albion was kind of third-party payment. So how can organizations use BC Go to help their participants?
Right. I just have one question, may I? In terms of the hours of service, is there flexibility for the dialysis schedule? Like if there's a need for 5 passengers to get there before or after? Well, probably before, because I think they kind of close down. Is there flexibility to adjust that, maybe a couple of days a week?
We can look at that. We used the data that existed already within the BC Go platform to be able to see where the most demand for service was, and then we designed the hours around that.
Okay.
With only one vehicle at this time dedicated to Albion, we chose the highest demand times.
Right.
If we notice that there's additional demand outside of those hours, and then we have the resources available, we will, kind of shift things forward or back. But the thing to keep in mind is that as we continue to expand the number of vehicles on the BC Go platform itself, that will still open up additional service to Albion. So it wouldn't be dedicated service with a vehicle that stays only in Albion, but BC Go already is available to the city of Albion. And so as we add more vehicles to that platform, it would, the likelihood that riders would get matched at those times
Mhm.
could increase.
Okay, great, thank you.
What time does BC Go run now?
5:30, 5 a.m., but the first pickup is at 5:15.
Question, if somebody calls either Marshall Dial Ride or BC Go, and they want to use the opposite service, so otherwise, if somebody calls BC Go and says, I want to go from Albion to Marshall, does your dispatch, I mean, they don't need to call another number, or is that going to all be taken care of with the same dispatcher?
We're working on that right now. Matt, the good thing is that Matt is at Marshall Dial-A-Ride and he knows the resources that are available. And so our goal is never to deny a trip or to just be like, nope, sorry, we can't do that. Thank you. Our goal is always to make a referral to somebody else, another provider that can, or to directly connect that person with that resource. So that's the concept of mobility management, almost like social work for transportation. So if somebody called into Marshall Dial-A-Ride and they weren't able to meet the demand, Matt would be able to work with his dispatchers to connect them either with BC Go or, depending on where they were traveling, to a different service.
Perfect. Any other questions? I do have a question. I have a friend that is an anticipatory resident of the service expansion based on their personal relationship with a family member. And quite often, once a month, I'll get a complaint every time they have to take this family member to somewhere. I don't know why I am the complaint resource, but I don't control who I'm friends with. So, but the part that came up today was, hey, if I call BC Go, it takes, it's a 2-week runway for me to get a ride, and I got to go to whatever today.
Yep.
Will that expansion of the new vehicles help solve that? And if so, to what degree?
Yes. So right now, if you were to log into the BC Go app right now and look 2 weeks out, and we're at almost 10 o'clock, it's probably 75% full, 2 weeks already. And that just speaks to the demand, right, for the service. We've strategically on the back end been trying to hold the vehicles back. So we don't load all of the vehicles into the system on that 14-day mark. We try to hold some back. And then as we have drivers available the day of, we throw that number of vehicles out onto the system. Adding 4 more vehicles to our fleet once those vehicles are delivered, we're hoping that that gives us the ability to add additional same-day service. So really what we're focusing on right now is that same-day aspect, which the on-demand concept of the on-demand transportation, where, as little as half an hour notice, somebody could get a ride. You're not having to plan 2 weeks out. So hopefully once those 4 vehicles are delivered, you'll notice a difference in that capacity.
And I want to point out the nuance that I think I heard for you to confirm, making sure I'm hearing that properly. So it's a matter of, hey, we've got more vans coming, but if I don't have drivers to drive those vans, that's a non-starter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So it's a combination. I mean, you've stood in front of the public many times over the past several years and said, hey, we need both of those things to happen for that benefit to happen as well.
Correct.
So just for public record, if you go to Battle Creek City Transit website and look at
Correct.
those postings.
battlecreekmy.gov/jobs.
There you go, for those
In-
postings.
We have 2 classifications for drivers that we're looking for, CDL and non-CDL. You don't have to have a CDL to apply for the CDL position. We will train for a CDL. That position, the CDL position, is primarily going to be your big buses. So that's going to be fixed route in the city of Battle Creek and Springfield. The non-CDL position is more of the minivans, the countywide service, the BC Go style service. We get probably 14 to 1 application ratio. So for every one CDL application I get about 14 non-CDL applications. People are interested in driving the vans, doing that Uber and Lyft style service, but we still need CDL drivers. So whenever we have, within our organizational structure of how our staff works, we have something called a spare board. Anytime a driver is sick, is on vacation, is running late to work, we have to have a butt in that seat, right, for the vehicle to run on time. And so those spare board drivers are waiting for their work assignment for the day. If all of our regular drivers show up to work, then those spare board drivers don't have an assignment. And even though they have a CDL, we may put them on like a BC Go service that day and then open up a vehicle for that same day service. So we need both. But if you know anybody who's interested in CDL work, they could drive both.
Got it.
And it's planned that these new vehicles coming in will be wrapped as Ride Calhoun.
At this time, they're going to remain kind of unbranded.
Okay.
Yes.
The training time for a CDL, if you come and you don't have one.
It depends on the individual. So I've seen it go as quickly as 4 or 5 weeks. I've seen it take as long as 8 to 12 weeks. There's a combination of classroom and behind the wheel training. And then once they get that CDL, then they have to go through actual revenue service training. So somebody coming in without a CDL has to go through all of the training to get the CDL. And then once they get it, they have to go through all of kind of the operational training of how the routes run and how our procedures work.
Thank you.
It is a paid training, if that convinces anybody.
I had a question about using the app, the BC Go app, especially for seniors.
Mhm.
Is there a training that they sign up for, or they could go so they could learn how to use the app so they don't always have to call in and to be able to get their rides and get them scheduled? Is there something that, okay,
So they would call our mobility manager, which is Christy.
okay,
And she would be able to assist them. You'd be surprised how quickly our seniors actually adopted the technology.
okay.
And sometimes they may not use it to book their ride, but they've downloaded the app so they get the push notifications of when their ride is coming. So we still, even if they don't feel comfortable after us working with them, if they don't feel comfortable booking and paying for the ride through the app, we still encourage them to download it so they'll get the notifications of when the vehicle's arriving.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One more question, if I could.
Yes, sir.
So if I use the app, I'm gonna go from one side of Albion to the other side of Albion, and I put in where I'm at, where I want to go. Does it tell me right away what my fee is,
Yes.
what my fare is?
Yep.
Okay.
It's based on mileage. So BC Go is based on mileage. The mileage starts from your point of origin to your destination. So that was one of the things we talked about at the Albion meeting. You don't get charged just for the miles from us leaving Battle Creek to get to Albion to pick you up. You only get charged for the miles from your origin to your destination. And it maxes out at $15.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Great.
I did not anticipate that taking all of that, but that was fabulous information.
And well received in Albion. She was there and we had said, 15 or 20 minutes, and they kept asking more and more questions. And even afterwards, I think you got a couple of recruits from that.
I did. Yeah,
So-
we got a couple of people who were interested in driving, and all positive questions. Nobody,
Yes.
nobody used their opportunity to complain about the tax or anything. Everybody was very excited and positive.
And I haven't received that on all of the levels of all of the places that I've spoken. There are no regrets that we're getting public transportation, so.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So that's why we have to really advertise and market June 2nd or June 1st. And
Mhm.
I'm going to start working on that when I get back.
Yeah, I will say, I kind of started my presentation by asking who's heard of BC Go in Albion, and only one person raised their hand.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not well known in Albion by no means.
So to your point, one of the first marketing pieces we will have is to make sure that we blast that out on the website and also put that transition period with the app so that it's clear in that same forum as well, and drive people to that. earlier I said that, you know, we're gonna get bombarded with questions and things of that nature. And I don't, and you know, we all have different perspectives, but driving folk to that one central location so we can standardize our responses would be very much beneficial for this body versus us giving an in the moment type. It's not a diversion. It's part of a strategy for us to make sure that we, one, consider what's being asked, two, answer in a way that's representative of the direction that we're going, and three, not get caught up in a one-on-one dialogue with any constituent, business, what have you, and without having all of the resources and the facts to bear, if that makes sense. Okay.
Just one other comment. In addition to the app, you know, I would like to see up close and personal. We can arrange major locations or a major location with media coverage and things like that, because between E-News and Albion Recorder or the Recorder, we can get more information to the public versus the app, because a lot of our people really have never gone to the app. So I think, you know, really spreading, just like I spread the word about my meeting, we spread the word within, you know, the local community, and then introduce the app, because they're not going to the app initially.
Yes, I think it's a great opportunity for a press release and or some communications about the tax partnership with the city in expanding the BC Go service to dedicate some additional service to Albion.
And the chamber,
Mhm.
you know, we get them, and that blast goes out to everyone as well. So
Yeah.
I can do it. We can do it. Okay.
Were the,
Last comment on the technology to Dr. Watson's question. I think realistically, we're probably a year away from full implementation of a new technology platform. We have an RFP ready to go that we anticipated releasing last October. But with the transition to the TACC and discussions with the city and purchasing departments, it was determined to hold that for a minute until we were closer to that transition with the formal agreements in place, so that we didn't incur the expense of branding all of this technology as Battle Creek Transit, just to turn around and incur that expense again to rebrand it, assuming that it could be rebranded. So our intent now is, once that formal agreement is in place that finalizes the transition, we would release the RFP with everything just kind of coming as the TAC rather than doing it twice.
No, I appreciate it. Thank
Yep.
you.
Vivian, a question, were the attendees Thursday night from your ward or was it citywide?
It was sponsored by the precinct, you know, we got a precinct, but I opened it up to the city.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a response. Any other public comments on non-agenda items? Okay, moving right on into board and executive director comments. Any communications to the board that we haven't discussed? I'm sorry, go ahead. Amy.
I have a question that's not something that somebody brought to me. It's my own question that I have for us. Would that be okay to ask now?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering when we're going to, if we have an idea of when we're going to repost the accounting services RFP.
I have your draft saved in my inbox and I will post it tomorrow. Now that you guys have finalized the marketing one, we'll post the accounting one tomorrow.
And it'll have a 2-week window?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
Thank you.
just for clarification, if anyone knows of any service providers or what have you, what's the most appropriate way for outreach to drive them to that information?
You know, we can share that there's an RFP or that the TAC is looking for these services and then direct them to the website. All of the information of how they can ask clarifying questions or submit proposals would be in that RFP. So all of the information that somebody would need would be on the website. So you could have conversations with potential vendors about directing them, hey, we're in need of this service. The RFP is posted on the website. I would keep it at that.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
That's important. Any other Amy?
Just ask one more question about that. So it's not going to be emailed to any vendors like the marketing one was?
If you know of specific people that you want to make sure it gets to them,
But we don't already have a list, I guess.
I do not already have a
Okay,
list.
okay.
No,
Just-
I don't. If you
fine.
already have a list and you want to email it to them, I would just email it to everybody at the same time.
Right.
And then document everybody that it was sent to.
Yep.
If anybody reaches out with questions, then we would do an addendum to that posting that answers the questions for everybody. So the goal of the RFP is to make sure that all potential vendors have the same information, have the same answers to the questions, and that it's a very transparent public process.
Makes sense. Thank you.
That's part being the most important. So let's just organize that. But you know what? Let me simplify this. So Amy,
Yes.
would you help me out with that since you've got incredible history with marketing and what have you? If we know of any potential vendors, can we send that to you and you would send that all out at once? And so if any of us board members have knowledge of folks that may be interested that we can send the RFP to, we can do that in an organized manner by sending their contact information, the name of the business and what have you, with an email address to Amy. And let's just say by Thursday.
Yeah.
And then Amy can make sure that she makes that communication on our behalf in the right way based on what our technical support staff recommended.
Yes.
All right. I'm just making, look, I did a lot of that for me. So.
Question on that.
Yes, sir.
RFP. The rubric, at some point, we'll see.
I have that.
Can I give you some input into the rubric so that way?
Absolutely.
And it's myself, you, and I forget who's the third person.
And Miss Maya.
Me.
All right. So if we could, if you could shoot it as a reminder, then I'll send you my idea. And then if you all agree, then we'll put it in. If you don't, then we won't.
The score sheet is based off the RFP, the information in the RFP. So if that has changed, any of that, then the score sheet will need to be updated. But if, in addition to that, if there's those changes, I'll be happy to make any.
It won't change the RFP. There's just a piece I would like us to consider as a group that could give a preference. Doesn't change the work, but could give preference to an individual to get an additional point.
Okay. As long as that works for the federal government procurement process, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to work through it if you want to provide that.
Okay. So it probably is a super really quick statement then. I can do now or after, I don't care.
Let's just submit it.
Okay,
So,
I'll box really quick.
okay. All right, great. Any other communications? Okay, hearing none. Legislative updates. Are there any?
So I shared at our last meeting that we no longer have the funding for our infrastructure, charging infrastructure. So we have a grant for 3 electric vans. But the grant that we had for charging infrastructure was through the EPA, and that program has been frozen. So we have not moved forward with ordering those 3 electric vans. However, we were successful in securing a single electric van and associated charging infrastructure, as well as all of the costs associated with bringing power from the line to the building to support that, which was the largest cost in that EPA grant, through Consumers Energy. So they did that with the focus on the TACC and the environmental justice areas that the TACC will be serving. And we are working with them to brand and do some press around the partnership with Consumers Energy. But we hope that, by summer, end of summer, we have an additional vehicle on the road that would be an electric vehicle. Now, we have to continue working with consumers on the charging infrastructure for those 3 vans because the one charging station won't support, now 4 electric vehicles. But they're confident that they have some subsidy programs or some additional grant programs that can help us get there. And particularly looking for possible locations where we could put those charging stations in Marshall and Albion, mostly Albion, that could also serve as public facing. So we'll continue to work with them on that and see what we can continue to secure. Our partners at FTA recently shared with us that they are losing a lot of staff in Region 5. Friday was the last day for a lot of people under the reduction in force restructuring. And so they've shared that they're probably not going to be able to give a ton of support. And so we're going to utilize our federal resources to make this transition happen rather than trying to chase down funding that's been frozen. We feel like that's the best use of our time with FTA and the limited resources that they have now. So just to give you that update, our primary contact at FTA has left. Her last day was Friday. And the gentleman that we'll be working with is Stuart McKenzie. He is a longtime veteran of FTA and incredibly knowledgeable, but I will work with you guys to make those introductions. Kathleen is the one that we had met with in the past to discuss some of these transitions, and she was the one guiding us through the process. So our contact has changed, but I'm still confident in the October 1st date.
Good. Did Stuart visit here once?
No,
Okay.
not yet. I think we had a Zoom meeting with them, but I don't know if you were on that Zoom call.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just a
Good.
comment. There are charging stations with the college in Albion. So I wonder if, if we have, an electric van and there's a collaboration with the college, there's a possibility that, we can use resources until other things become available.
I'll let them know.
Okay.
The last legislative update I have is that we've submitted a request to Senator Peters. Senator Peters was the individual that gave us the congressionally directed spending, the 1.5 million 2 years ago. While we know it's unlikely that there's going to be earmarks in the next federal budget, we did ask for $600,000 to do some renovations to the Battle Creek train station. So that's currently under our purview. We manage the train station, which serves Amtrak, Greyhound, and Indian Trails. It's over 100,000 people a year come through the Battle Creek station in all of those capacities. So it's in need of some upgrades. We did have a grant to do some upgrades that MDOT lost the federal match for. So we're down to a much smaller pot of money to work on, and that's part of why we did that congressionally directed spending request. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
So that would serve as a match for a federal award?
Yeah, so if the 600,000 represents 80% of the total project cost. So MDOT would provide the 20% match.
Okay.
The project that was funded last year for to do some renovation at the train station was about 250,000. And that is the funding that MDOT lost the federal funding for. And so all we have right now is the funding, which is about $40,000.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
It's not legislative, but where do we stand on the federal designated recipient status? Seems like we haven't heard anything on that for quite a while.
That was one of the things I was writing down. So as of right now, we're still confident in the October 1st deadline. We are actually working towards a July date that we would have the letter from the governor. So the governor has to designate the TACC as the recipient, and then that goes on to USDOT FTA. Right now, the state runs their local bus operating, LBO. They run that distribution in August. We want the TACC to be included in that. And rather than them using Battle Creek Transit and Marshall Dial-A-Ride figures, we want them to use TACC's budget. And so we want that designation before August. The consultants, so Clark and Peter, myself and FTA as well as MDOT met earlier in April or late March to make sure that we were all on that timeline. Peter has had a meeting with Jean Russman, who's the administrator at MDOT Office of Passenger Transportation. She feels confident that they can have that designation by July. I have shared with the TAC attorneys some of the resolutions and legal documents that the TAC needs to adopt in order for the state to make that designation and in order for FTA to make that transition in our system is called TRAMS. It's the Transportation Award Management System. So October 1st, all of the grants that exist in TRAMS right now under Battle Creek would be de-obligated, so they go back into a pot and then be re-obligated under the TAC. We recognize that there's going to be a time frame where those funds are unavailable, and so we just want to make sure that we coordinate that timing with the city of Battle Creek, which would be part of those operational agreements that we're working on with the attorneys, and FTA. So making sure that the TAC has the money available when they need it is going to time that transition more than legal documents.
Great. Any other questions, comments? Thank you.
You're welcome.
BCATS, is there an update? Yes, sir. Welcome.
Jeff Franklin, Executive Director of the Battle Creek Area Transportation Study. That's the planning organization for the metropolitan area, which includes your members, City of Springfield and City of Battle Creek, as well as the Calhoun County Road Department for those 6 township area that's in the northwest corner of the county. It is National Work Zone Awareness Week. It was interesting to hear before the meeting started talking about the work zone on I-194. This is the so-called motto this year is respect the zone so we all go home. In 2024, there were over 6,100 work zone crashes. Of those 6,100 work zone crashes, 1,000 serious injuries were attributed to that, as well as the loss of 16 people, 13 motorists and 3 construction workers. So it is important to recognize that we're coming into a construction zone. Coming into construction season, that there will be construction zones that just seem to pop up out of nowhere with maybe potentially limited awareness. MDOT and the county and the city all try to avoid those circumstances. BCATS also attempts to do that by advertising not only this Work Zone Awareness Week, but advertising construction projects as they occur ahead of time. So thank you to our partners for helping that happen. Work Zone Awareness Week runs Monday through Friday. I'm wearing chartreuse today and then tomorrow is also Wear Orange Day. So if you go out in the public, you're supposed to theoretically wear orange to show camaraderie with our construction work and the work zones. At BCATS, we have our finance director chosen and solidified. The candidate, Brandy Standler, current Lansing Economic Development Corporation's finance director, will start next Monday. I couldn't be more excited to be fully staffed once again at BCATS. We are currently entertaining our updated public participation plan. It started for public comment on April 1st. Public comment will end with our board approval at their May 28th meeting. So public participation plan is out for public comment, as well as our fiscal year 26 unified work program. That's the work that BCAT staff does on behalf of our members for the fiscal year 26 year. That is currently out for public involvement with the same May 28th date for theoretical approval, which includes local share resolutions. I had previously talked about TAC being a financially participating member. It is now part of our BCATS policy committee bylaws. You guys have since accepted that as well through board action to be a financially participating member of BCATS. The amount within our unified work program is $10,543 for the fiscal year 26 year. In return, we've programmed approximately $1 million of transit operations within our fiscal year through 29 Transportation Improvement Program, which is also out right now for public comment. It started its period on April 1st, runs through May 28th with theoretical local approval. Those three big documents, getting those out of the way, will clear up the summer to concentrate on construction and coordination related activities. Our next meeting of BCAT's Policy Committee is tomorrow at 1:30. Eric, you noted that the agenda includes all those public documents that are out, but it's really for information only because it's more important that you attend the May meeting than this date. That is all. Any
Appreciate
questions
it.
for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that qualifies as an excuse for my absence. Thank you. I feel better about that. All right. Any other comments? Clark still here? I saw him come in. Oh, you just don't have him. Okay. You want to ask Clark a question?
I'm here. You can ask.
Wow.
I didn't have a question. I don't know.
Oh,
What was the question to ask?
Oh, no, I just didn't know if Claire had any comments.
Oh.
Clark, did you have any comments and what have you? I know that just for general information, I've started having what I call, you can put a moniker to it, coffee with Clark and Peter.
Yes.
And so we'll be meeting more often for a little bit of check-ins, direction, and what have you. I've taken it on as a responsibility, and I'll try to inform all of you of any key points or what have you. But every once in a while, you have an opportunity to kind of join that that forum, if you will, so that we can move some of this technical work forward and keep the momentum going. Okay. Clark, that sounded pretty. Did I miss anything there?
No, you didn't miss anything. I don't think, Eric. I'll just mention we are looking at potential board retreat for you in the not too distant future. We'll have some dates, possible dates to look at, possibly by the May 13th board meeting. We are moving forward with development of additional policies. Let me just comment that, and Mallory covered already, that Peter had a conversation with Gene Rustman at MDOT. And I'll just concur with her comments that we're keeping their feet to the fire on that one to make sure that we have the necessary designation moving forward in the governor's letter. And the other item that I'll mention just in passing is that I have worked extensively in the past with King Media. I note that you approved a contract with them earlier today, and I think you'll find them very responsive. I know they did good work on behalf of the state association when I was there a few years ago during the height of the COVID situation, and we had funding to get the message out statewide to assure people that public transit was safe, was taking precautions, and so I'll look forward in my capacity as one of your consultants to working closely with them as I have in the past. That'd be it.
Okay.
You.
Thank you very much, sir.
Got one thing.
Yes, Tom.
There was some discussion about changing our bylaws to one meeting a month. I would highly encourage we not change the bylaws. The chair has the right to cancel a meeting if there's no business. That's easier to do than to schedule an extra meeting, a special meeting. So
yes,
I would recommend that we stay with the two, and then if there's no business, the chair can cancel a meeting.
We'll keep that piece. It seems like the easier route to go. Also, Clark used the word board retreat. you know, in my mind, retreat means relaxation and let work, but I know that's not what your intention was. So let's watch how we use words. If your expectation is that I come into a meeting to do a whole lot of work for 4 or 5 hours, I need to say that because my mindset for retreat is glaze. Okay.
Now,
All right.
our idea of a retreat is a work session.
Yeah. Well, let's call it that. And I will come prepared for that. Retreat in my book, warm weather outside, you know, possible treats. I don't know. But I knew you didn't intend that because I know you and Peter and how you operate. So we'll go from there. I want to remind the group that our next meeting is May 13th. And we'll hopefully have some marketing and media prowess coming back to this body. Just based on some of the public facing things that some of you have discussed with me, it's about time to start scheduling our municipal tranches of information sharing and what have you. Similar how we did almost a year ago, and what have you, to kind of keep the public engaged, updated, and moving forward. So we'll go from there. Any closing comments? Okay. Hearing none, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 10:19.